So, okay, Naman, what did you understand by this NBFC, non-banking financial company?
So non-banking finance
Inder,
company,
can you
right?
switch off your mic for a while? Yeah, Naman, say.
Yeah. So non-banking financial institutions or anything like NBFCs, which are known as, it is one of like, they act like a bank, but they are not a bank, right? So like a bank, what does a bank? It's a financial institution, right? So bank has a license, they deal with multiples of crores of rupees, and mostly they are registered with RBI, right? But in the case of NBFCs, they are a smaller version of a bank which doesn't require a license to operate from RBI. They require license to operate from regulators. And they are not only related to banking and financial services, they are also related to investments and different types of asset management companies, which also include like different types of investing methods for the management of the portfolio.
It's very complicated. Can you explain again in brief? I need to understand one more.
So obviously it is just like a financial services company, but it doesn't have, it acts like a bank, but it is not a bank. It is not a fully fledged bank. It's a small version of a bank, which doesn't require a banking license. Simple. It's a
So,
bank which does. It's a small version of a bank which doesn't require a full banking license.
so what is the difference between a normal bank and this NBFC?
Obviously there are limitations, of course, about how, what will be the size of the investment can NBFCs make, what are the financial instruments can NBFCs use, what are types of investments can NBFCs invest in. Okay, so there are limitations. If you have a like, it's like, I could say like there's a free version and there's a paid version of a software. Free version has some features in it, but most of the features are available in the paid version. So these are like, NBFCs are like the free version and banks are the paid versions. So you can distinguish like that.
Yeah, sorry, Aritra, I joined a bit late.
No, no, it's okay.
Yeah. So, uh, actually, I think NBFC, uh, they do require license from RBI, but the thing is, it is not under that much of screening or regulations under
Yeah,
RBI.
so I just said like they don't require a full banking license. They
Full
do
banking.
require license. They can
Hmm.
also get it from the regulators, right? Like SEBI and
Right,
etc. So, but
right,
they
right.
don't require a fully bank license. Like wallets we have,
Actually,
we use Google Pay
no,
and all.
actually, what happened is uh, NBFCs are a finance company, banking finance company, non-banking finance company. So, non-banking in the sense these companies will never accept money from public, like for savings. Like just a bank, what it does, it takes money from public and they give it at interest. Okay, they give you 4%, 3% interest. Okay, so they take FDs, they take your there is a savings account, and you can withdraw money from that account, right? So, but in NBFC case, you cannot have a saving account in an NBFC because that itself will contradict the definition of NBFC. NBFC is non-banking finance, wherein you cannot have a saving the bank which has no saving accounts, or
Hmm.
which doesn't gives facility that of a saving account or to save your income. So
Right,
these all come under the category of NBFCs, non-banking
right,
finance.
right.
So they do have investment schemes like non-convertible debentures,
Right.
NCDs, and all. Yeah, but
Loans.
they can't accept cash in deposits. So that is the basic difference, first difference between an NBFC and a bank. And regulation, as far as regulation is concerned, so RBI prior to that, the NBFC's regulations or NBFC's lots of uh, practices are to be followed, but thing is, in actual they are not following that things. So NBFCs are like a weed. Congress weed is there, we call it as a Congress weed. So they are everywhere, NBFCs these days. So they are thriving like grass, wild grass. So it's a very important to control NBFCs and regulate them, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry these days are opening their own NBFC, and mainly the app-based loan systems. So if you see in mobile, there are n number of applications saying they will give you loans at the comfort of your home, but it is at a cost, at a very high cost, that we can't afford, or no one can, no one should really go into that trap. So NBFCs is basically all these things are happening. And another thing is the IL and FS, if you might have heard, infrastructure leasing and finance. So Naman, you might be aware of that
Yes, sir.
scam, correct? So
Yeah.
this scam mainly caused the concern to regulate all the NBFCs, because mostly the NBFCs had invested most of the money in IL and FS, and it is the same as the Harshad Mehta scam, or maybe the,
Securities.
yes. So if they go deep into the scam, each and every NBFC, each and every bank will come under scanner. So maybe Naman, you can explain better than me, since you are an into the same field. So can you explain like how ILFS scam is, like how it happened?
Yeah, so ILNFS is one of the like financial companies, which is like infrastructure leasing and financial services company, right?
Right.
Right. So it is operating mostly on the infrastructure and development finance company. And what happened was there was a default on bonds
Hmm.
by ILNFS. I
Correct.
think it happened in 2018, right?
Right.
So what happened was like most of the subsidiaries of ILNFS, they had I think they have around 400 or 500 subsidiaries, out of which are around 300 subsidiaries they had trouble paying back the loans.
Correct.
Okay, and many others, banks and different types of people
LIC,
who
UTI.
lended, yeah,
Yes.
so who lended the money. So what happened was it resulted in calling the RBI,
Yes.
okay, for to rescue that scam, right? Because obviously if
Correct.
ILNFS goes down, obviously it will hurt most of the lenders, because obviously they
Hmm.
will declare bankruptcy and they will
Hmm.
fled, right? They will
Right.
go. So
Right.
they want the people who cannot pay to be held accountable. So this was the initial, overview of a scam, what happened there. So
Exactly. Yes.
yeah.
And apart from that, the major investors in ILNFS are Axis Bank, like the then UTL, which was Unit Trust of India.
Yeah.
They have invested heavily in ILNFS. Then HDB Financial Services, like HDFC's sister concern. So they are also invested in that. SBI has
Mhm.
a major stake. So all these were the banks involved. And apart from that, many NBFCs had lended money to the ILNFS
Right.
on a like that bonds, or what we say, on a higher rate of interest and return. Because what ILFS does is, it is a company which was into infrastructure leasing, like into infrastructure projects
Yeah.
mainly.
Yeah.
So what happened, because these projects were delayed many times. Like
Yeah.
the loan was tenure was all short-term tenures of these loans.
Hmm.
So these NBFCs, then banks, they all gave loan for short term to IL&FS, but IL&FS couldn't repay back because the project was not completed and there was no income from that projects. So it's obvious that they won't be having any cash inflow, and the only option left with them was to take loan from another bank.
Right.
So they did the same thing. They took
Hmm.
money from one bank, paid back to the previous bank from where they had took the loan. They were continuing this for a very long time, and one fine day they started defaulting. When the
Right.
payments started defaulting, so
And
after default, yeah,
hmm,
after default was done, so, I think Sucheta Dalal, she was the first, she was the investigator in this case as well,
yeah.
like financial scams. So most of the major financial scams were exposed by Sucheta Dalal only in India. So this was also Sucheta Dalal's findings, that they did some micro auditing and everything. So after that, they concluded that this is a biggest financial scam ever happened in
Hmm.
India. So that thing was there, and again. Uday Kotak is now the chairman of IL&FS. But now even RBI, Government of India, and all the government organizations, they are just looking for someone to take over that organization, IL&FS. So Injeti Srinivas, I think that commission was there. Injeti Srinivas commission, they suggested some changes, this that, but nothing as such happened, which is revealed to the public yet. And just they since Uday Kotak has a very good name in the financial market, Kotak Mahindra Bank, Kotak Bank. So
Hmm.
Kotak Bank is one of the oldest NBFCs to get a
Hmm.
banking license. So it is one of the first bank of NBFC to get a banking license in India. So his name was very his name is very like trusted name in market. It's a very trusted brand, Kotak. So they just made Uday Kotak the chairman of Island Affairs, and they said everything will be fine now.
Right. Hariji has rightly said about this. About Uday Kotak, being the chairman of ILNFS now currently,
Mhm,
and the board also consists of many other people also, who are like one of from one was Chaturvedi from ICICI Bank, which I remember, who
mhm,
was on the new board, which has been formed by the RBI,
mhm,
on the request of RBI. And also one more thing here, like the fraud was initially caught when the Sucheta and all, they looked on the audit reports of the lending company. Through the audit reports, they can easily see the
mhm,
changes through the accounting thing, so they can easily change see what's going on wrong, what was wrong actually in the book of records. So because of this, delight also came under fire.
correct.
Yeah.
Right, right. So what was wrong actually, Naman? So can you explain in that financial, like auditing terms?
Sir, in the auditing terms, I don't have the document. Otherwise, I could easily explain, because there are many
Mhm,
other different types of, because obviously one is the thing, the irregularity. Obviously, when you see some figures which are having like a certain type of growth, but once it goes like 200 to 300% increase, which is a sudden increase, and to
mhm.
an extent it's impossible to have that financial records in that amount of time. Obviously it will catch the eye of the auditor, right? So that is one more thing you have to see. So the
Increase in
irregularity, that
increase.
there was So
Yes.
increase in like, so we have like, when we make a balance sheet, obviously all the assets and liabilities are balanced, right? So
Mhm.
you will see when the assets are becoming more, the liabilities are becoming more and more increased. So
Mhm.
assets will obviously be increased. So but the
Mhm.
sudden increase of assets can also cause some problems there.
Right.
Obviously you have looked book of
Means there
records.
should be a reconciliation of what
Yeah,
has been added. So there should be a proper reconciliation of that.
yeah. So
Right.
no, I don't think so about the reconciliation, but obviously the, you have to go and recheck what are the
Mhm.
financial procedures which ILNFS are following, and what the
Mhm.
internal auditor is doing there. So obviously
Mhm.
Deloitte is the external auditor, internal auditor
Okay.
is hired by the company. So what are
Correct.
the precautions
What
internal
was
auditor are
right,
taking? And
right.
obviously what happens is, when there's a major fraud,
Mhm.
shareholders are not aware of the major fraud. The
Mhm.
employees and the mostly the
Mhm.
managing directors of the
Management.
company
Yes.
are liable for those frauds.
They are
Okay.
aware. They
And
will
what
be aware
happens
of that.
is,
Mhm.
they, all the internal auditors, all those managing directors, they come into a group and they
Mhm.
do this fraud, right? And
Right.
and then what happens in the conclusion is, like, even though sometimes I have seen in cases like, uh, the shareholders, there's a remuneration committee, right, which
Mhm.
sets the income of the managing directors, right? And
Correct.
then there is one more committee which
Mhm.
sets the fees of the shareholder. When
Correct.
the shareholder sits in the meeting, he gets board member, I wouldn't say shareholder, but I would say board member who sits in the
Mhm.
meeting, they get a certain fee amount. So that is also
Mhm.
set by the employees of the company. So
Mhm.
means the managing directors, obviously. So what
Mhm.
happens is, there's a conflict, and most of the board members who know the previous, that's why the board has to be changed, right? So the
Mhm.
previous board obviously knew about the fraud which was happening inside.
Right.
And obviously, and there's also one more trend which I have seen, uh, like, if there's a very huge financial institution, let's take Yes Bank also. So
Mhm.
every time there is a huge crisis, the governments come into rescue, and that
Mhm.
is the thing which I think is, it's wrong. The government, obviously they should try to control the situation, but they shouldn't rescue them, because they
Mhm.
deserve it to be. And that is the thing which I think is totally wrong. Right now we have seen happening with the Yes Bank case, right? Government came
Mhm.
into the rescue, and most of
Mhm.
the HDFC, ICICI has invested in the money. So
Correct.
the chairman also, the chairman, I think the chairman, the vice chairman of ILNFS has been arrested because of the fraud also.
Right.
Yeah. So that is the
So
thing. Yeah.
mainly politicians are also involved, and
Obviously, sir,
yes.
because without, see, when we say about the business game,
Mhm.
according to my understanding, even though I'm not that much experienced, but according to what I have read and what I have
Mhm.
experienced right now, so it is a like just a monopoly game what we
Mhm.
play. It is a game which has to be played by chartered accountants, lawyers, bankers, investors, and your customers initially, the clients. So these
Right.
are the, the, I would say, what we say, uh, uh, the major players
So
in the game.
got it. We took one example of ILFS. Let's come back to this
Yeah,
main topic, that is NBFCs.
yeah.
So NBFCs are lending organizations. So
Mm.
I have not seen one NBFC which is charging reasonable amount in for the to the borrower. All the rate of interest are very high, like
Yeah,
either 36%,
yeah.
40%, 42%. So I myself work for an NBFC for 3 long years. So I was
Okay.
working with Shriram Finance, Transport Finance.
Okay.
Yes, so this is one of the Asia's largest
Mm.
NBFC with assets under management will be around 1 lakh
Can you
crores.
repeat the name again? The largest
Shriram
NBFC?
Shri-
Finance, Shriram Finance,
Shriram Transport Finance Company, STFC.
STFC.
Yes. So this is a listed company and it comes under the Shriram Group, the flagship of Shriram Group. So this is a Chennai, like headquartered in Chennai. So you might have heard about Shriram Honda. Earlier, generators used to come of Shriram Honda. So it is the
Honda
same.
Finance.
Yes, not Honda Finance, Shriram Honda. One like earlier when current like light goes, so in marriages and functions you might see some generator functioning,
Right.
diesel generators. So Shriram Honda used to give that. So there
Yeah,
is
that is the thing, na. They used to manufacture the equipment,
yeah,
the
yes, yes,
generators,
yes, yes.
Honda generators.
Right, right.
Yeah,
We tie up with Honda, like
yeah.
they had a tie up with Honda. So they
Okay.
started business as a chit fund company. Shriram Chits is the parent company, and they have around 27 or some 46 companies, I think, so under the flagship. Shriram
Hmm.
EPC, Shriram Constructions, Shriram Engineering, Value Added Services, many are there. So this NBFC, I worked for 3 years. So my personal experience was that the rate of interest is very high, huge, like it is around 40% IRR, internal rate of return.
Hmm.
So you can understand the importance of NBFC and the
Yeah, I'm getting it.
yes. So that is the thing. So, but what is concerning to me was the rate of interest. Though they are giving it, they're not giving it for free. They are charging huge rate of interest for to them. And
Obviously, but sir, advantage is there that those people who couldn't get the loans from
hmm,
institutional banks like HDFC, SBI, they are
hmm,
easily getting loans from NBFCs. And what I have
correct.
seen from the education loans perspective, there is one more like Avance Finance. Okay,
Hmm,
so they provide education loans to
hmm,
international students, those who go abroad, and they provide no collateral, right? SBI, if you take a
hmm,
loan of 1 crore rupees plus education loan, you need to
hmm.
provide at least 125% value of the collateral, because
Okay.
25% is the reserve money, right? So
Hmm,
you need to provide 1.25 crores of collateral if you take a loan from SBI. But the interest
okay.
rate is low. So it's like
Hmm,
9,
correct.
8%, 9%. But
Correct.
if you see about the Avance Finance, they're offering 1 crore loans with no collateral, but
Hmm,
the rate of interest is at least 4 to 5% more. So it's like
hmm.
12, 13, 14, maximum 16 I've seen. So,
Okay.
and even though
Right.
there's one more thing I forget, like uh, uh, the interest is not similar every year. It
Hmm,
keeps on changing. It's on variable interest. I forgot
okay.
the term about that. So that's the very disadvantage.
Floating.
But you get loans from NBFCs quite easily.
Right, right. That is true. But it when you repay it, then you understand whether it was easily or you were fooled off. Because while
Mhm.
repaying, you have to repay for a longer time as compared to SBI or any other. So
Right.
another thing is NBFCs that are operating this app-based loan system. So I have seen the similar kind of rate of interest they are charging through apps. So many students and individuals, they get trapped into this, like getting loan
Hmm.
through these apps. Like Dhani is one of that. So
Dhani Pay.
Dhani Pay. So even Dhoni was the brand ambassador for that Dhani app. So, but
Like
yes, he is
credit
still
cards institutions also do that, right? NBFCs, those who
right.
issue credit cards like Bajaj, FinServ, and all.
Correct. Yeah, credit card is also in unsecured loan. So
Yeah.
they also do that similar way, but credit card, like it's still up to you whether you want to spend or not.
Hmm.
And loan system is like something you get into a trap because many people, because of that advertisement and referring scheme and this type of things, people get attracted to such things. So they think like it's a good thing to
Hmm.
get a loan easily.
Hmm. Hmm.
But when we see the rate of interest and all that things, charges, processing fee, bounce charges, so this is something like very wrong, I feel. It's a similar like वो नहीं होता था पुराने जमाने में
Ah.
लैंडलॉर्ड सिस्टम,
Hmm.
उस टाइप का जमींदारी सिस्टम. सो उस टाइप का सिस्टम लगता है, ये पैसे नहीं दिए तो तुम्हारा ये कर लेंगे, तुम्हारा वो कर.
गुंडागर्दी चालू हो जाती.
हाँ, direct call में thrashing. One of my colleague took loan through such app-based thing, and
Hmm.
and he repaid it, but still there was some issue and it was not reflecting. And what the app-based loan system did, they started sending messages to every number in his contact list saying that he has defaulted the loan and asking to
Yeah.
pay immediately,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so he was already going through some kind of trauma because he had lost his job, and apart from that, this type of things were happening in his life. So this is something really bad, and even there are some cases where ultimately, uh, like, see, as per regulations from RBI, you cannot pressurize any borrower to repay the loans. Okay, you cannot trash anyone by calling ki paisa do. So this is not the system that RBI is saying. You follow up in a good manner. Okay, you call them when they are free. You don't call them publicly. So that is there are standard operating procedures for this recovery. So even while working with Shriram Finance, we had a list of do's and don'ts for doing the recovery. So while going for recovery, we are not supposed to get involved in some kind of violence or get involved in a quarrel with the customer. But main objective should be to understand what has happened and whether the money is going to be returned back or not. Only that is the things that you need to discuss. But these days, these call center guys will just call you and say, अगर आप पैसा नहीं भरोगे तो अच्छा नहीं होगा, आप पैसा भर दीजिए, your money is outstanding, why you are not paying, like that they will ask directly. And even there are instances of such instances like they are sending SMS to relatives, friends. So this is something very alarming. And even Anil Singhvi, he started a what we say that hafta vasuli campaign in Z Business, because he's totally against this kind of culture where you give a person loan and you charge huge interest, and if he's not able to pay, you are just trashing them. So this is wrong. Even I feel that. So what is your take?
Sir, obviously, you know, the thing these NBFCs are doing, that is really bad. But this culture is not also in NBFCs. This culture is also seen in the institutional banks which give loans, right? We have seen like that, especially in the credit card segment, like HDFC banks and all. And like one of my relatives, he defaulted for once only with his credit card. He forgot to pay on time. So what happened was he used to get daily messages, threats, and then he made a police complaint, and at last he finally settled his loan amount. Right? So I have seen that also. This is a real threat, a real problem here. And second of all, one more point I would like to say is, yeah, like even though NBFCs are very, you can easily get loans, there are also frauds happening. I
Hmm.
have seen those apps in the Play Store. They are not also NBFC. They act like NBFC. They give out loans and they start, taking at least like 60% per month.
Right.
EMIs are like that.
Correct.
And most of the students, especially students and those who don't know the technology segment, they know, how to, they don't know how to use technology, so they fall in trap with these companies, because and also they are also advertising over the web, like we are providing loans, etc., etc. Sometimes they will call you up and you will say, sir, aapko loan chahiye kya? uh,
Mhm.
and not only that, banks, institutional banks also. Last week I got a call from HDFC Bank. Sir,
Mhm.
आपको मैं 3 लाख का लोन दे रहा हूँ, तो
Mhm.
पर्सनल लोन. तो सो आई टोल्ड हिम, मेरा 3 लाख का मैं क्या करूंगा, आप बताइए. मैं 3 लाख रुपया लेके क्या करूंगा लोन? देखिए ना सर, आप एक बार देखिए. लाइक आई नो दैट गाय, ही इज फ्रॉम माय ब्रांच. सो ही टोल्ड लाइक, देखिए ना सर, आप हो सकता है. हम बोलते हैं कितना रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट दे रहे हैं आप ईएमआई में? 10% पर एनम. बोला ठीक है, हम देखेंगे. बट देन आई हंग अप द कॉल. सो it's also, very prevalent in institutional banks, big banks also. And one more thing, Hariji, even I think you have a great experience from Shriram Finance. One more thing I have seen, NBFCs, they also provide, mostly the loans, they are foreign companies also,
Right. Correct.
right? So what
Correct. Correct.
happens is, now what I saw,
Hmm.
what I have analyzed the industry, and what I saw, the majority holders,
Hmm.
means those who take loans from India are actually the subsidiaries of Indian companies in foreign
Hmm.
countries, or they are foreign companies, or they are run by NRIs but
Right.
registered in UK and etc. So what
Right.
happens is, now actually the rate of interest seems to very high for an average Indian. Right? It's
Hmm.
40 to 50%, per annum. But actually, if you go to US and you start a company and you take a loan from India, obviously the currency and the inflation makes it much more cheaper to take a loan than in the US.
No, but
So
you are in India, right? So you can compare with loan in US. If you are staying in US, then definitely we can say
yeah.
it's the thing is there when you are in these situations.
Hmm.
So I don't think, see, they enjoy a privilege that they have a higher currency. Their value
Hmm.
is high. So if they
Hmm.
invest $1, it is
Hmm.
equivalent to 70 rupees for investing
Now
in India.
77.
77, exactly.
Yeah.
So same was with Shriram Finance. Bank of America is the major, like they had a tie with Merrill Lynch. Bank of, that is Merrill
Yeah.
Lynch is a sister concern of Bank.
Investment banking.
Yes,
Investment banking.
investment banking, and apart from that, it is also like a sister concern of BOA, Bank of America in Singapore.
Yeah.
So they had a direct tie with Shriram Finance, and most of the money came through Axis Bank. So Axis Bank, Merrill Lynch, and Bank of America. These are three
Who?
financial institutions.
Who?
They are backed up. Like Shriram gets backing from all these three
Hmm.
banks and banks. So two are international, one is Indian. So Indian bank is Axis Bank. So Axis Bank was a tie-up within Shriram Finance. So mostly all the checks, everything was issued
Hmm.
in the name of Axis Bank only. So yes, they give that money, but yes, the rate of interest is very high because they want to pay salaries to their employees, right? In US or India, so
Right.
they charge very high, and the risk is high. Even that has to be considered when
Hmm.
we say about Shriram Finance. So they are refinancing, like it's a secured loan, but it's a refinancing, like mostly reused vehicles are financed. So
Okay.
yes, so mostly no one will do such type of things because if you buy a brand new truck, it will cost you around 30 to 40 lakhs or
Hmm.
even more than that, depending
Hmm.
on the model. So
Hmm.
and on the contrary, if it is a used one, you can get it for 5 lakhs and 10 lakhs also. And you can earn much better on that. Like for 5 lakhs, you can earn around yearly, maybe around 10 lakh or 12 lakh also, if you maintain the vehicle properly. So that was the game altogether. So it is just like a business loan. So that is, first is risk was high, and second thing is it's not a personal loan, it's a commercial or a business loan. So the rate of interest will be high. So we can consider about Shriram Finance charging that. But still, when we come to this app-based companies, lending companies, so they are charging the same rate. What Shriram Finance? I just
They're
saw
charging more than that,
more than
not
that.
also same. Yeah.
So what's the logic behind this? That's what I'm trying to understand
The
now.
people, obviously, if you're charging higher interest, right? So
Hmm,
obviously the risk factor will be much more higher, as you said, right?
hmm,
So the risk factor of not getting that money is eventually very high, because they are not
hmm,
assessing the credit score that much, or
correct.
anything, any factors they are not taking in
Hmm,
from other authorities, like how
right.
is this guy, what is that, and there is no inquiry overall.
Hmm,
So they're just providing instant, we there's a term known as instant loan approval, and most of
hmm,
the NBFCs do that. They
hmm, hmm,
instantly, reimburse the loan, and
hmm,
then the game happens with the customer.
hmm, hmm,
Yeah,
correct.
obviously, that's why they are charging higher rate of interest, because the
Hmm,
risk profile is eventually high.
hmm,
So even though, suppose a customer has paid for at least 2 years, now he
hmm,
has defaulted on a loan, now he's not paying back, but the
hmm.
money, the principal amount, at least the bank
No,
has recovered from the
see,
interest.
Naman,
Yeah.
we can understand about recovery of 1 lakh rupee, or maybe 2 lakh or 3 lakh rupees, right?
Hmm.
It's an
Hmm.
amount to be recovered. But
Right.
how you would feel if someone is calling for 1,000 rupees, or like not especially you or anyone. I'm just, how an individual will feel if he is being called up for 1,000 rupees, 400 rupees. Sir, your EMI, your EMI is
Uh,
pending, and you need to pay 20,000, you need to pay 10,000 rupees. So this is something like it itself, within itself, it is a scam, and people are getting trapped to it, sadly.
so the verdict also here is that you shouldn't work for NBFC, right?
Shouldn't.
You shouldn't work for an NBFC company.
No, working, see, it has its own pressure. If you
Hmm.
work for NBFC, you
Hmm.
need to handle such people who will take loans and they won't repay it back. So I have come across n number of borrowers who will say, this is not the amount that I have to pay. Okay, they have their own calculation. They make their own calculation. See, sir, my hafta is all regular, and I am not bounced even one of the EMIs, and how my foreclose is coming this much. So the pressure is at another level in NBFC. Banks, it's another thing. So bank, you have a reputed clients mainly. So banks में क्या होता है कि mostly they give to educated people, and the rate of interest, everything is already decided and told to them. But
Hmm.
NBFCs, it is not like that. So अब जो ये ऐप वाले जो लोग हैं जो रिकवरी के लिए कॉल करते हैं, even they are facing the same pressure. Means they, his boss will might be telling them, you call this list and recover maximum amount today, or else you won't come from tomorrow. Your salary, or else I won't pay you salary. So recovering such amount, then that is also a very big task.
Very
And
hefty procedure.
so that it's up to you. If you can handle the pressure, you can work with NBFC also.
So, Aditya, what do you think? Aditya, you're there.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I have
So
learned a
what do
lot
you? So,
in
what was
about
the
NBFC.
conclusion? What was the conclusion?
Yes,
What was the last conclusion? So what you have learned? I have
learned is
also
that
learned from
we should
Harini.
not work for NBFC. It charge very high interest rate, It is different from bank. That's the conclusion. Okay, in there, you want to say something? You didn't say a single word.
No, nothing to say.
Today, today we had a conversation like GB. Only I
Yeah.
and Hariji were saying.
Yes, yes. Even I think Preeti is also not, is there, or she's only listening as a host.
No,
Don't
she's
know.
there.
Okay. So no
Okay,
comment.
guys, let's end the meeting. It's already 11 o'clock.
Yeah, no problem.
Fine. One more thing I'll add.
Okay.
Don't get trapped into NBFCs. Means it's good you don't want to work, but it would be, you should also remember you should not take loan from NBFCs. Even investing, before investing also you should understand what is the financials. Like they give a they attract their investors by saying they give a higher amount of interest, like in NCDs and all, they will give you higher returns, but it's not true. If you go dig deeper into it, you will understand. So it's always go with an SBI rather than any NBFC, or I'll say a
Hmm.
government bank is better.
Hmm. You should aim for the institutional banks, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
institutional bank, right? Fine. Hope we'll end this session then.
Okay, good night, guys.
Okay.
We'll meet tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Good night.
Bye.